All right, it's official. We've stopped taking on real estate investment clients who aren't already known to us or who aren't referred to us by somebody directly that we know. The reason why is because the speculative mania in the real estate market has become absolutely absurd, with many people throwing out the basic fundamentals of real estate investing and purchasing in a smart and efficient manner. We're going to talk about all that in today's video. The definitive guide on how to manage your credit, product, penalty, price in that order. It's never been more important to get your mortgage right. All right, so welcome back. Today we're discussing why Mortgage 360, my company, has decided for at least the time being to stop doing investment property mortgages for people that we don't either know, who aren't existing clients to us, or who aren't referred directly to us by somebody that we know, like a trusted realtor or a already existing client. And the reason for this is really simple. The absolute lack of fundamentals going into making a lot of investment decisions. We're seeing people purchase properties with solely investment, and I shouldn't say investment, but solely appreciation in mind. They aren't looking at the actual fundamentals of buying a property. They are just assuming that eventually the rents are going to come up and that the property values are going to come up. And eventually the market will grow into their investment property purchase, and that at some point it will meet the criteria that you would normally use to make a sound investment decision. So we are at the point now where we're just saying we're going to hold off on doing any of these. And the reason why is because we're going that extra mile with respect to our fiduciary duty. Obviously, depending on the province you're in and how you hire a mortgage broker, some provinces have it so it's mandatory that your broker has fiduciary duty to you. Other provinces have it set up so that the broker has an option. But for us, it's really important that we take on a fiduciary or an agency role for our clients and give them the absolute best advice possible, because at the end of the day, our job is to help them protect their assets and protect your assets. And we can't do that if you're making poor investment decisions. So I'm going to go into all the details on this in a moment here. But before we get into it, do me that favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and please hit that like button so more people like you can see this video. And don't forget about our race to 25,000 subscribers, where when we get to 25,000, we're going to give away $5,000 to one lucky winner. Oh, and by the way, if you are looking at getting a mortgage, we've got our homebuyer boot camp that you can sign up for at the link in the description below. And also our secrets to getting the lowest interest rate course that will teach you how to get the absolute lowest interest rate if you don't end up choosing Mortgage 360 for your mortgage. So let's get into it. Let's discuss investment properties, investment real estate, and why we're just choosing to not take on any clients for investment real estate that aren't already known to us. And, there's a whole bunch of reasons for this. But the main thing is we're seeing mass amounts of speculation happening in the market right now, and we're seeing it happen in the face of higher interest rates. It's no secret that we're going to have higher interest rates, yet people are purchasing with ultra low interest rates, expecting debt to remain that low, expecting the real estate market to go up and up and up. And the reality of it is at some point this will change. There will be a correction, maybe not a crash. And by the way, I'm not going to suggest that property values are going to go to zero and we're never going to see them regain their values ever again. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I am suggesting, though, is that people could be buying at the top or near the top of the market. And in the next year, 2, 3, 4 years, they could have mortgages that are somewhat underwater. And if they're buying just based on speculation and for the sake of purchasing for appreciation, I'm here to tell you that there's a good chance that appreciation isn't going to be a thing that is going to be on the near horizon. So I want to jump in. I want to show you a few things real quickly on the news here. First and foremost, this is the first headline I want to show you. Canadians deepen faith in red hot housing market while rate hikes loom. We're seeing Nanos here, which is a polling company that polls 250 people weekly, 1,000 people over a month, and they run a 4-week rolling average on this. And basically what they're saying is that the expectation of higher housing values has gone to its highest level since at least 2019. Up around 65% of people believe that their housing prices are going to go up. And how could they not? Because quite frankly, pretty much every market in Canada right now is seeing massive amounts of buying pressure, limited inventory, and lots of people wanting to purchase property for that speculation and appreciation sort of investment philosophy, which in my opinion is absolutely wrong. And then we're seeing this. We're seeing OSFI come out and say home prices could sink 20% when speculative fever breaks. Now, good for BNN for using the term fever, because this is basically a pandemic-induced real estate fever that has happened. Obviously, it has happened because of ultra low interest rates, ultra low costs of borrowing, and that has led to people basically buying properties with the expectation that they're going to go up and up and up in value. Now, if you bought a property in early 2020, even late 2020, you probably did pretty good and you're probably fine. But if you're purchasing right now with appreciation being the only goal, then you're probably going to find yourself in a bad place at some point in the near future. And you have to remember this. If you take one thing away from this whole video, it's focusing on appreciation when it comes to real estate investment is the thing that makes good people make bad investment decisions. Appreciation is not the reason why you invest in real estate. You invest in real estate for income, and ultimately it is one of the safest investments you can make if you're purchasing properties that are break even or better and you're holding them for the long term. But people always think that buying real estate is now like buying stocks where you get in and you get out fast and you hope that the value runs up and then you cash out. That's just not how good real estate investment works. And that's what we're seeing right now. And that's why we've slowed down on doing the amount of investment real estate mortgages that we have done in the past. So here's the reality of this is there's some really simple tools you can use to figure out if purchasing a property makes sense. Well, one I like, and by the way, I don't get paid by them. I don't have any sort of relationship with them. I just like it. It's a really, really great tool. It's called Property Evaluator Pro. And what it does is it allows you to go in, and I'll just show you here real quick, it allows you to go in and allows you to basically input all the data for your property, and then it spits out numbers for you and basically tells you if your property makes sense to purchase. So you have basically this purchase analysis, and anything that shows up in black is really good, and anything that shows up in red is not so good. And I really like this tool because you can go in here and you can basically pull off a report for your property, and it gives you all the data here, and it goes through things like your operating expenses, your net operating income. It goes through return on equity. It goes through potential cash out refi options. It goes through debt coverage ratios. It goes through cap rate. And it basically gives you a really good indication if that property makes sense to purchase. So, it gives you black numbers, red numbers. And if there's lots of red, you just simply don't purchase it. But using tools like this and starting to understand how they work gives you the ability to purchase properties and do it wisely. Now, people obviously sit there and they go, well, hold on a second, property values have gone up. We may never find ourselves in a circumstance where properties are break even again. It's not going to happen. Well, guess what? It always happens. Happens about every 7 years. We see run-ups in prices, then we see them come back down. Then we see run-ups in prices, then we see them come back down. And basically, sound investing real estate principles will return at some point, but they will return either when everything else gets better or when properties start to come down in value. And there's a really good chance that they're going to come down in value. And the reason we know this is because we've seen this before. I met a gentleman in 2011. His name's Larry Kendall. He runs a company called The Group Inc. in Fort Collins, Colorado. And they are really good at looking at data and analyzing real estate investments. And in 2008, just before the big financial crisis, they were running what was called Wake Up Money Club. And what started to happen was that as real estate values started to increase and increase and increase, the fundamentals of real estate investments stopped working. So in other words, they weren't able to buy properties with 20% down that broke even anymore, that had positive cap rates and positive debt coverage ratios. And Larry basically said, you know what, something's not right here in the market. We need to suspend the Wake Up Money Club, and we need to just stop purchasing properties because they're overvalued and numbers just don't make sense. And sure enough, they did. And then lo and behold, the real estate market in the US crashed. Now, it crashed for reasons that we didn't even know existed, things that were a total surprise, things like mortgage-backed securities and credit default swaps that basically no retail investor actually knew were around or existed or that could crash the market. And the lesson there was that when the fundamentals stop making sense, stop purchasing real estate. Just like you would stop purchasing stocks and bonds and things like that if the market doesn't seem to make any sense anymore. So what we're seeing right now is we're seeing this speculative mania. We're seeing people purchase for appreciation because they think values can't go anywhere but up. I'm going to tell you right now, people forget really quickly 2008, then 2015, 2017, when prices dropped in Vancouver and Toronto. and so on and so forth. They just forget that values always come down at some point. It's a normal market. And what I want to encourage people to think about is when you're buying these real estate properties, make sure that you're buying with the fundamentals in mind. Because if you are buying them having to subsidize them because they don't cash flow and something happens with your job, or you're buying in a province that you aren't living in and something happens in their market, or worse, something happens in your market that makes it so you can't afford to subsidize those properties anymore, well, you could see your net worth shoot past zero on the way down really, really quickly if you don't know exactly what you're doing. So keep the fundamentals in mind, buy with the fundamentals in mind. Don't go out there thinking that values just have to go up. By the way, don't think that Toronto, just because it's going up in value, means Calgary or Regina or Manitoba has to go up in value. It doesn't. The markets aren't related. Our country is so vast. It's like saying that the values in New York have an impact on the values in Ohio. Any reasonable human being knows that that doesn't make sense. And well, the reality of it is the values in Toronto don't have any major effect on the values in Calgary either. So don't make your purchase decisions just based on the price of the asset. Make it based on the fact that you're buying a property that can produce income, that can pay for itself, and that you aren't going to have to worry about if something happens to you financially or to that property financially somewhere in the next 3 to 5 years. So hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, do me that favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Please hit that like button so more people like you can see this video. Don't forget about that race to 25,000 subscribers, and we'll see you on the very next one. Cheers.